I'm Superintendent Galvan with the Greenfield School District, ready to read you a bedtime story. And tonight I'm going to read about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a famous judge for the national courts. And this is her book called I Dissent, and her fight for the things that matter in life as women. She was really someone who made sure that things happened so that girls as well as women could participate just as much as boys and men. So thank you, Miss Ruth, and let's read a little bit about her story. Hola, comunidad de Greenfield, soy Superintendent Galvan, aquí con ustedes leyendo historias sobre mujeres este mes de marzo. Y esta noche voy a leer sobre una señora Ruth Bader Ginsburg, fue una juez de los Cortes Nacionales, y ya vamos a ver lo que ella hizo para niñas y para mujeres en todo este país. So aquí vamos. You could say that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's life has been so much, one discouragement after another. So they would tell her, Ruth has disagreed, disapproved, and differed. She has objected, she has resisted, she has dissented. Disagreeable? No. Determined? Yes. This is how Ruth Bader Ginsburg changed her life and ours. Ruth's mother disagreed. In 1940, Little Ruth's neighborhood was vibrant with immigrants, people from Italy, from England, Poland, and Germany, Jews from Russia, and just like Ruth's father, Nathan Bader, people from different cultures with different holidays, foods, and traditions. Boys were expected to grow up, go out in the world and do big things, whereas girls were expected to find husbands. And Ruth did not like that. Celia Amster Bader thought girls should also have a chance to make their mark on the world. So she took Ruth to the library. On the shelves were stories of girls and women who did big things. Ruth read about Nancy Drew, Girl Detective. She read about Amelia Earhart, Daring Aviator. She also learned about Athena, the goddess of the Greek myths, independent girls and women taking charge. Ruth read her way into the world, and around her, the sweet scent of books blended with savory aromas from the Chinese restaurants downstairs. Delicious. A girl could be anything. Sometimes Ruth and her parents took car trips out of the crowded city. As they drove past a hotel in Pennsylvania, Ruth saw a sign. No dogs or Jews allowed. This is how it was in those days. But hotels, restaurants, and other neighborhoods. No Jews, no Mexicans, no colored people, no whites only. Ruth and her family were Jewish. They were prejudiced, pure, and simple. Now it was Ruth's turn to disagree. She discovered and disagreed by never forgetting how it felt to read those signs. She never forgot the sights of prejudice. Ruth also had a little problem with sewing and cooking. These were the things that girls needed to learn. Boys took shop where they worked on saws and other tools where girls needed to learn how to bake. Ruth also loved music. She explored loving the opera. In music class, she lifted her voice in song. This time it was Ruth's music teacher that objected gently. Ruth simply could not sing. By the time Ruth was in high school, friends and teachers knew her as an outstanding student, baton twirler, cello player, and newspaper editor. There were no agreeing with this. There was no disagreeing. The simply was Ruth did not go to her graduation. She did not give her speech. Still, Ruth knew what her mother wanted. 3 months later, she left home to attend college. Her mother became terribly sick the day before graduation, and her mother died. Ruth disapproved right back, and so did Marty. Not many girls went to college in the 1950s, and Ruth made friends, but she also met girls who excluded Jews from their clubs. She met boys who thought girls should be looking for husbands, and then she finally met Martin Ginsburg. Marty was tall and funny. Ruth was small and serious. Marty could make her laugh, and they fell in love and hatched a plan. After college, they would go to law school, both of them lawyers. Ruthie had learned could fight unfairness and prejudice in the courts. They got married and they went to law school, and then they had a baby, Jane. She resisted and persisted. Finally, a judge hired Ruth, and she worked like mad for him. After that, one law school hired her and then another. Ruth became one of the first female law professors in the whole country, and she did it with a new baby at home, James. So now she had another baby. Ruth became well known as a lawyer, as well known as the President Jimmy Carter chose her to be a judge in Washington, D.C., and Ruthie agreed. In 1993, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg became the first Jewish woman on the nation's highest court. Wow. There she is. In each case, the Supreme Court